I'm going to read an excerpt. But first of all, first things in order, I want to recognize people like Claire Light. My God, she's been with several program directors, executive directors, and now she's a director. And I just wanted to, give you a nod. You've just always been there for KSW and for all of us. And you're an artist yourself to give of your time and all your staff and all the people that Nancy Hom named. I remember all of them, all the way back to Don Tong. Almost as when she says their names, it's almost as if they're right here with me, and I feel a mixture of sadness and joy that these individuals had touched my life. None of you, or few of you, knew some of them or all of them, but their spirit is in these walls. They were passionate about Asian American art, poetry, visual arts, and because of their passion and passion of Nancy Hom, Bob Shang, and everyone else, and Al Robles, who's your father, this has survived, and given the times that we live in, the wars and the political conditions that we live in, it's really, truly to your credit, all of you, for being here and being part of this community. So thank you. I'm going to read an excerpt from a new manuscript called Paper Gods, and it's my first foray into an extended piece of work. I usually write poems, short poems, and this is a prose piece, but it's mixed genre with poetry and essay. But first, I wanted to recite this short poem called Where Is Your Cup? It was inspired by jazz musician, innovator Henry Threadgill's album, Circus Circus. Where is your cup? Is it empty or full? Is nothing nothing or nothing something or nothing something or something always nothing? Where is your cup? Rich or poor into nothing? Nada, rien, oh yeah. What do you get? Is the moon half empty or half full? Is the note F sharp or G flat? A dancing bear, a lady with a beard, a circus of elephants and donkeys pulling each other's tails, followed by hordes of howling monkeys in tuxedos with tin cups asking, where is your cup? And your cup? Is it 47% empty or 1% full? Yeah. Okay, this is the excerpt from the introduction of Paper Gods. Grandfather journeyed to America with a terrified little boy of 7. One look at father's identification certificate with his wide, innocent eyes frozen in panic, and you'd think he'd seen a ghost. Necktie askew, a shock of thickly pomaded and coarse black hair sprouting from his forced center part. Father sat paralyzed before the intimidating black camera. He'd never seen such a strange machine. When the box popped with the explosion of a gun, his heart leapt. I only understood the depth of his shock much, much later, after I'd learned that grandmother had stayed behind, or rather had been left behind in Macau, when he and grandfather had set sail on the President Taft steamship one August morning in 1916. While venturing off to the savage frontier of Gold Mountain, it was routine for husbands to leave their wives behind. Grandmother was wife number 2, not uncommon also in old China. Father was born out of wedlock. His biological father was said to have been a foreigner from some land down under called India. Indonesia was called Little India in those early days, so I am of the impression, judging from his appearance and my own, that his father was more likely Indonesian than Indian. He was just a tot when grandfather took his mother to be his second wife. My difficulty with interlocking stories, missing dates, locations, and time frames likely stem from these unrecorded breaks in my ruptured family history. I used to chuckle at Pop's identity certificate picture. That was before I knew the degree of his trauma. My attempt to plumb the depths of my own fear was driven not by some masochistic obsession in the way some people are compelled to return to the scene of the crime over and over, but by the simple need to understand how fear and loss converge to influence one's outlook. My parents' losses somehow transferred into my own. Father had lost his real father at birth, and then when he came to America, his real mother. A year after I lost him, I lost my daughter. 23 years prior to that, I'd lost a 32-year-old sister to leukemia. Bad feng shui, Mother had sobbed in shame, blaming her daughter's early death on what she had been convinced was a family curse. Though she'd never explained what that curse was, fear was the thief of our innocence and death, the destroyer of our happiness. I've tried to find the cracks along the family fault line, which arose unexpectedly like an earthquake, out of sync and not in sense with our lives. I wasn't concerned so much with the history or chronology of my family, so much as with the underlying convulsions that rocked the surface of our lives. The youngest of 7, I was the baby who awoke one night to a tremor, wondering why the ground shook. When I began to cry, everyone was so stunned by their own fears they hardly noticed mine. I climbed off on all fours up a steep flight of stairs to the rooftop during a rainstorm. After a panicked search, I was found drenched to the bone with my body covered in wood splinters. On another adventure, I crawled to the middle of Mason Street, right into a construction ditch next to the cable car tracks, much to the shock of a cable car packed with passengers plunging down the hill. I had the same irrepressible urge to explore that possessed my ancestors. When exposed to new surroundings, my mind took flight from time. I was and am aware of the moment only. Past narratives too often form a stranglehold, closing in like a fist till we no longer are capable of breathing fresh air or seeing new life. A gypsy, however, trespasses boundaries and steals others' costumes and masks when she perceives, if even for a moment, the dilemma of her transience is compensated by euphoria of acceptance and a glimpse of a happiness that would otherwise have been unimaginable. A master of disguises, the gypsy always shifts the angle of perception, charging each venture with mystery and danger. It is with resolute will of memory that the thief of life strikes again and again, stamping with her heels like hot anvils, mashing rock against the very earth that swallows her. Like a woman, able to see herself only through her lover's eyes, history has been the mirror with which I recovered my lapsed consciousness, while writing has been the source of my mental survival. The events of my life emerge in pieces, fits and starts, out of sequence like snatches of old wooden fish songs sung by blind Chinese itinerants. The difficult road to remembering is marked by war, world events like 9/11, which intersect and echo traumatic events in my own life. As the personal and the political merge, so does memory and imagination, two wings with which I have traveled, fallen, and at times soared. Wanderlust transcends past and future, mother and child. For the wanderer, home is everywhere and nowhere. A bedroll, a hotel room, a homestay, a beach, tent, or hat under the stars. For me, traveling is pilgrimage, a way to backtrack to the mother and child. To discover yourself through the prism of others' worlds is to discover your essential humanity. With your face in embryo suspended in time and space, you become a fly on the wall of the universe. Geography, climate, culture are your diary. You witness everyday events, a grandfather climbing up the hill with his grandchild to bring home a wounded bird, or a peasant woman wending her way up a mountain road with a log balanced on her head as human miracles. To migrate across borders and shores, to surrender your reality to something greater than yourself is to be a bird in flight. Nothing belongs to you, and you belong to nothing. All that you possess is your love of poetry, people, music, and adventure. You think that each trip will bring you closer to your destiny. Each new terrain and vista will open your eyes to a whole new way of seeing and feeling. But inevitably, each destination gives way to another destination, another journey. It never stops. Eventually, you come to realize it's all a vagrant fantasy. Home is nostalgia. What can you do? You shrug your shoulders, circle the Milky Way. You wander sky to sky, drunk on the illusion of freedom. When we undertake the pilgrimage, it's not just to escape the tyranny at home, but also to reach to the depths of our souls. That was a quote from Orhan Pamuk's. Thank you.